They say the night hides more than shadows. It hides the truth.
Welcome to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where real crimes, true horrors, and restless spirits speak through the silence. Listen closely, because sometimes the whispers are real.
In the late 1990s, a disturbing pattern began to emerge across the Midwest and East Coast of the United States. Young men, college-aged, athletic, popular, were vanishing after nights out drinking. Days or weeks later, their bodies would be discovered in nearby rivers. And in over a dozen of these cases, there was something else, something that seemed almost like a calling card. A simple, spray-painted smiley face near where the bodies were found. They were sons, brothers, students, young men with their entire lives ahead of them. Most were last seen leaving bars or college parties late at night. Many were described as good swimmers, and yet somehow they all ended up drowned in the icy rivers and lakes near their campuses. Patrick McNeil, New York, 1997, last seen leaving a Manhattan bar, found 2 months later in the East River. Chris Jenkins, Minnesota, 2002, dressed in a Halloween costume, found months later in the Mississippi River. Dakota James, Pittsburgh, 2017, a later case. Surveillance shows him walking through downtown. His body is found 40 days later in the Ohio River. It wasn't just the drownings. In many cases, families reported strange phone calls, missing belongings, and bizarre details, like how some victims were found in positions that didn't match a natural drowning. And always, there was the smiley face nearby. In 2008, retired NYPD detectives Kevin Gannon and Anthony Duarte announced what they believed they had uncovered: a serial killer. Or more disturbingly, a network of killers responsible for dozens of these drownings across the country. They called them the Smiley Face Killers, a shadowy group of murderers who stalked college-age men, drugged them, abducted them, then staged their deaths to look like accidental drownings. At least 12 of the locations where victims were found had a smiley face sprayed nearby. To Gannon and Duarte, it wasn't random. It was a calling card. But not everyone was convinced. The FBI publicly stated that after reviewing evidence, there was no proof of a serial killer or killers, and that the drownings were more likely tragic accidents caused by intoxication and environmental factors. But if Gannon and Duarte were right, it would mean a network of highly organized killers operating across multiple states, targeting a very specific type of victim and evading capture for decades. If the smiley face killers exist, who are they and why do they strike? Over the years, investigators, journalists, and amateur sleuths have tried to piece together a motive. The theories are as chilling as they are divisive. Theory 1. Gang initiations. A shadowy group meeting in an alley, a bottle of GHB, date rape drug, sitting on a table, a man being followed from a bar in grainy reenactment footage. Some criminologists believe the killings could be part of a gang initiation ritual, or even a form of organized thrill killing. The victims fit a pattern: young, athletic, educated men, the kind of target chosen to prove dominance or send a message. Theory 2. Cult activity or occult symbolism. Candlelight flickering in an abandoned building, graffiti of smiley faces overlapping with cryptic symbols, newspaper headlines about occult crimes. Others see something ritualistic. The smiley face is a symbol, deceptively cheerful, but perhaps hiding a darker meaning. Could this be the work of a cult, using the symbol as a mark of triumph over their victims? Theory 3. Accidental drownings. Footage of college bars at night, laughing crowds spilling onto the street. A young man stumbling near a riverbank. Time-lapse of police rescue teams searching dark waters. Skeptics argue that these cases are tragic but natural. Drunken accidents happen near rivers, especially in winter months. What looks like a serial pattern may just be coincidence, amplified by grief and the internet. But then there are the sightings. Witnesses have reported seeing men being followed after leaving bars, strange vehicles near rivers, and even hearing screams in the night before a victim was found. Are these coincidences or fragments of a much larger puzzle? Whether killer or coincidence, the result is the same. Dozens of grieving families and a chilling feeling that someone or something is still out there watching the next victim. It has been over a decade since the first suspected Smiley face murder, and still, the case refuses to die. Every year, more bodies are found in rivers across the country, more smiley faces appear near the crime scenes, and the question remains, who is behind this? Law enforcement remains divided. Some departments dismiss the theory entirely, calling it a case of grieving families connecting dots that aren't there. Others quietly admit that the similarities between cases are too many, too strange to ignore. Online communities have turned the smiley face killers into a modern myth, part true crime, part urban legend. Amateurs compare timelines, connect cases, and even go out investigating on their own. And just when the world starts to forget, another case emerges, another body pulled from a dark river. Another smiley face found nearby, another family shattered. Maybe the smiley face killers are real, maybe they're not, but someone or something is out there, turning rivers into graveyards. And the scariest part? The next smiley face could already be waiting, spray-painted in the dark, smiling at the next victim who hasn't even disappeared yet. More than 20 years have passed since the first cases, and still the questions remain. Were these simply tragic drownings or something much darker? Investigators remain divided. Some say the theory is a myth, fueled by internet obsession. Others believe a network of killers is still out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the next victim. For the families of the men who died, the pain has never gone away. Each year, new names are added to the list. Young men gone too soon, their deaths dismissed as accidents. And still, somewhere on a cold concrete wall, a smiley face stares back, like a mocking signature. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think these deaths are connected? Are the smiley face killers real, or is this a chilling coincidence? Share your theory in the comments below. Light up the discussion and help keep the memory of these young men alive. If you want to see justice for the victims, hit like to spread awareness and subscribe for more deep dives into true crime's most haunting mysteries. Until the truth is found, the smiley face will keep watching.
Most people don't think about the way sound ages. Vinyl cracks, tapes warp, voices fade, but underneath the decay, there's always something left. Fragments of the air between words, the silence people forgot to record. I've spent most of my life listening to that silence. My name's Daniel, and I work as an audio archivist for a small historical preservation company. We restore old recordings, family reels, oral histories, police interviews, anything magnetic that still holds an echo of a human voice. It's not glamorous work, but there's something sacred about it, hearing someone speak decades after they've turned to dust. Until, one day, the dust spoke back. It began with a shipment from an estate auction. 15 unmarked reels found in the attic of an abandoned radio station upstate. The label on the box read simply, WZAR Broadcast Archives, 1963 to 1965. The building had burned down sometime in the 70s. Half the tapes were melted together, but a few survived. My job was to catalog and digitize whatever could still play. The first few reels were nothing special. Weather reports, old commercials, a talk show about highway safety. Then I found reel 7. No markings, just a faint grease pencil note on the leader tape. Session A, whisper test. I threaded it into the machine. At first it was just dead air, a low hum, microphone gain too high. Then faintly a voice. Voice, male, mid-40s. Testing 1, 2, whisper test. Recording begins at 11:58. A pause, then whispering. Too soft to make out at first. I turned up the gain, adjusted the filters. Underneath the hiss, I could hear words forming. Female voice, barely audible. He's still listening. Then silence. I rewound and played it again, thinking it was a trick of the noise floor. Maybe bleed through from another track. But the whisper was clear, and when I checked the levels, something strange appeared. A spike that didn't correspond to any microphone input. It was as if the sound was being generated inside the tape itself. The next day I ran the same reel through our digital cleaner. The voice came through sharper this time, and something new appeared. Between the test tones, faint rhythmic clicks, 3 at a time, evenly spaced. When I zoomed in on the waveform, I realized they weren't random. They formed a pattern, a pulse, almost like Morse code. I translated it. It spelled, "Listen back." I thought it was a coincidence until I checked the tape counter. The timestamp for that message was exactly 11:58, the same moment the announcer said he'd begun recording. I turned the reel backward, letting it play in reverse. That's when I heard it. Reverse audio, distorted. Daniel. I froze. My name. Except this tape was recorded in 1963. I spent the next week trying to replicate the glitch. I tested every reel in the box. Nothing unusual. Only reel 7 behaved like that. But late one night, after hours, I left it running while I stepped out for coffee. When I came back, the machine was still spinning. Even though the tape had run out, the capstan motor was whining against empty air, and over the speakers, faintly, someone was breathing. I shut everything off. The breathing stopped. When I switched the power back on, the counter had reset to 11:58. There shouldn't have been any recording at all. The tape was blank. Still, I pressed play. The whisper came again. Female voice. He's still listening. Then faintly behind it, my own voice. My voice, recorded. Is anyone there? Except I had never said that. I started having trouble sleeping. Every night around midnight, I'd hear the faint click of the tape reel in my mind. That rhythmic tick, tick, tick. And I'd wake to the sound of someone whispering near the playback monitors. At first, I thought it was stress. Then one morning, I found my office door ajar. Inside, the reel-to-reel was spinning. Unpowered, unplugged. On the tape counter, 11:58, I called the archives owner to tell him I was done working that batch. He just sighed. You got the whisper reel, didn't you? I asked what he meant. He said back in the 70s, when they'd first received materials from the WZAR site, 2 other archivists had quit after hearing phantom voices. They'd both described the same phrase. He's still listening. He told me one last thing before hanging up. They were trying to record silence. That was the experiment. A pure quiet broadcast to measure residual magnetic noise. But it wasn't quiet. They said something answered. I thought about that all night, and against every instinct, I went back one more time. I locked the door, turned off the lights, and pressed record. Is anyone there? I whispered. For a long time, nothing. Then, the faintest reply, whisper, always. When I stopped the reel, I noticed something odd. The counter had jumped ahead by exactly 5 minutes, as if I'd been recording longer than I thought. When I played it back, my own voice came through at first, then another sound, soft, wet, like someone breathing through a layer of dust. And behind it, dozens of other whispers, faint, tangled, overlapping, repeating one word, back. The power flickered, the room grew colder, and from the far side of the speakers I heard it. The same man from the original recording, only now his voice was right beside me. Male voice, whisper test. Recording begins at 11:58. Then in the silence that followed, the woman's voice returned. Clear this time. He's still listening. I looked at the counter. 11:58. Then my reflection in the monitor blinked. When I came to, the reel was still spinning. The counter showed 12:03. 5 minutes gone. The tape hissed softly as it ended. I reached for the stop button and realized the reel was moving backward on its own. A new voice emerged, my own voice on tape. Stop! Please stop! I pulled the plug from the wall. The reels kept turning. They found me asleep at my desk the next morning. The machine was cold. The tape was gone. In its place was a fresh reel, unlabeled. When I played it, it contained only static, and at the very end, a single word whispered in my own voice. Listen. The archive was shut down a month later after an electrical fire destroyed the server room. Investigators said it was likely a short circuit from antiquated wiring. I don't remember leaving the building that night, but sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still hear the faint rhythm of that counter. 3 clicks, pause, 3 clicks again. And when I listen to silence too long, I hear breathing, not mine. He's still listening.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.